Whew, good Lord, it is hot out there. It's hot for me. It's about to be very hot for the Kansas City Chiefs and one player in particular. Welcome to Sunday Breakdown. We're going to go over it tonight on RGR Football. Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom, friends and neighbors everywhere. Definitely not my normal thing. We are in between moving trucks right now, so I thought I'd sit down. Just finished recording the Locked On Chiefs show. I'll try to get back and do Locked On NFL as well. But this is RGR Football. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder, as well as the founder of Rogue Analytics, NFL33.com, and a bunch of other things. We have all kinds of stuff going. I have stuff going. These are the moving boxes. As this has been a long few days. I'm in the new home, don't have all of our things yet, don't have my lighting kit still in the trucks, but wanted to get you something this morning before all the other things arrive because I won't be live. Obviously, this is pre-recorded for the Sunday Breakdown. I had hoped 4 days ago when I kind of logged off and went AWOL from the world that Orlando Brown would get done and that they wouldn't bring it down to the wire. And, I was hopeful that it had worked itself out by now. But as of Sunday morning here, there's no news on Orlando Brown, which means they're still working on a deal. And don't let the fact that there's no news yet make you think that there is no news or that it's not working out. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you sub to the channel and hit that bell so you get everything that they do. This is not my normal setup. If you've never seen me or this channel before, this is a unique situation. I haven't moved in 16 years, and now this weekend I am. New studio will be built in the surroundings. So hopefully the echo's not too bad in here. I have a lot of work to do to get the studio ready. I hope to have an incremental update tomorrow for the Q&A live at 6 Central. If you don't know us yet, it will be happening. Again, we do an hour of answering live questions on Monday nights at 6 Central every week. Rain, shine, off season. Unless Christmas falls on a Monday, it's happening. So we will get to that tomorrow. But the big concern was, where's Orlando Brown? What's he doing? What's going on? Now, Orlando himself doesn't really need to be involved in this yet. As I understand, he is working out. I've got some conflicting information about where and with whom, but hopefully that means that it's multiple coaches, strength coaches, speed coaches, technique coaches, a number of things. And hopefully that means he's bouncing back and forth, working on different things with different people, different strengths. I think that's actually really important for Orlando's game. And I think it will help him down the line. Now, the only thing that he has to be present for physically is the actual signing of the contract. That all happens after it's done and negotiated and pretty much complete. It'll get reported to the league there just after he signs it. But it is a new agent. And so what we're waiting for now, we are, 5 days and about 6 hours from the deadline for that extension to be done, or else he can only play on the franchise tag this year. And that may end up happening. It may not. We'll see what happens. But right now, it's going to start to heat up quite a bit because a new agent is looking to make his mark, get his first contract out of the way, get his reputation started across the league, and quite frankly, support Orlando in what he wants to do, not just in Kansas City, but in his endeavors around the league and after the league and everything else. This is a big contract for a good player. Now, Orlando has the ability to be great, to be elite even. But right now, he's a good player. This springboards him in either to the very good level like Eric Fisher was or elite. If that happens, then this could be his biggest payday. The second contract, especially for a guy who didn't come out the gate as an extreme athlete or anything like that. Generally, you can see that progress down the line. But for a player that's growing into his contract, this second one's going to be important. He'll likely get a third. My guess is part of the negotiation that's going on is how long is this contract? That's really going to be key. For the player, you want it longer. You want security. You want a big number. You want a lot guaranteed. I think he's going to be looking for 5 years and 100 total. Maybe he's pushing for 105, 110, trying to get up there to the Trent Williams level. But most importantly, he's going to be pushing for 65, 70 million guaranteed. I don't think that happens. I think the Chiefs are going to be lower on that, but probably in the 50 to 55 range is my thought. And they probably only want it to go 4 years. So that really, I think, is the two things, because for the Chiefs, it is an investment. They want to structure the deal so that they save cap space now and that they get that relief that they need to maybe go get a pass rusher. We'll talk about Robert Quinn and anybody else here in a minute. But to have that, you also have to guard against complacency. That's the best way to put it. A lot of players that reach a pinnacle, make a big contract, get that windfall, it's natural to have just a small tendency to back off. It doesn't mean that he's pitching it in or not putting out any effort. It's just a natural instinct to like, whew, I made that contract. I'm going to relax a little bit. And that is the downfall. We saw that with Justin Houston after he got his big deal. It was never the same again on the Chiefs side of the field. I know he's had a resurgence at least a little bit, but that's something that I think is in the back of the minds of the Kansas City Chiefs, and understanding that when they pay players that kind of volume, there's a tendency to not quite get that return right away. So I think they're trying to keep that short, keep the total money down. I actually think that's good for Orlando as well, because if he progresses as I expect, he should get a third contract that will be the real payday. And I think he's got some growing into. If his offseason training indicates that he's in better shape, that his feet are a little bit quicker, that will make a big difference. And he will be able to play at an elite level if he can get those things. That will allow him, if he takes the shorter duration, a 4-year contract is what I think the Chiefs want, with the possibility of getting out after 2. I think that gives him a good space to deal from. Now, I don't know if a rookie agent is going to think that, but that's what I think, because I want that third big contract. I want him to get paid at 29, not at 30. That's a big difference. And I know it sounds silly, but this is exactly what happened with Tyreek Hill. And why part of the deal didn't get done is because of the age. So I think that's all great. And I think the Chiefs, if they can reach that negotiation point where the agent understands that and Orlando starts to see that a third contract in the future could be even more beneficial, they should be able to come together. So it is minus 5 days-ish. I still think that it gets done. I'm not concerned. I had hoped it was done early, but just because it isn't doesn't mean it's not going to happen. That's okay. Now, what it does open up is money to be spent at a position that they need. And we talked about ad nauseum up and down, but it all comes down to this. Carlos Dunlap is an option, I think, as a free agent. Robert Quinn is a possibility as well. Could you trade for somebody else? Possibly. I don't think Chase Young's getting out of Washington. I don't think Sweat's getting out of Washington. I don't think you're going to get anybody out of Jacksonville. I just don't think that anybody young and worth trading for is tradable from the team that has them. It's very, very rare. And so what do you got to do? You got to wait until there's a cut. You got to wait until there's an injury, something that you can then go invest in. But in the meantime, what the predicament really boils down to, and we've talked about all kinds of facets of this pass rush issue all season, but this is long and short what it comes down to. If there's an injury to George Karlaftis or Frank Clark, you're in serious trouble for pass rush. Now, Mike Dana can hold down the fort against the run, first, second down, no problem. Then you're taking a gamble with Josh Kando and Malik Herring on getting to the quarterback. Then you're talking about Chris Jones playing snaps at end, possibly trying to get Turk and Colin Saunders on the field on third down. It could work. It'd be a stopgap, but that's really all you got, unless Kano or Herring really makes an impact. And that's really hard to produce when neither of them hardly played as their rookie season. So that's really difficult. That's the big thing here, is trying to get that short up so that you can sustain an injury for 4 weeks and still be viable to get to the quarterback. Because without it, it's going to be very, very difficult to maintain and protect what is a rebuilt secondary as well, with a new starter at corner and most likely 2 new starters at the 3 safety spots. Now, technically, this is a team that wants to play nickel and dime most. This is not a base 4-3 team. This is a base nickel team. And really, if Spags gets his way, I think he wants it to be a base dime team, which means Brian Cook and Trent McDuffie are going to be starting in your 6 DB package. That's a lot. Not to mention that along with those 2 guys is Reed, Justin Reed, filling in or taking the spot now for Tyrann Mathieu. So now you're talking about 3 of the 6 starters in the dime package are new to the defense. Juan Thornhill's got to hold it down. Juan Thornhill's got to take it up a notch or 3. I know Juan's very confident, but all that is said that in order to protect that group, to let them come together, to let them gel, to let McDuffie and Cook and Reed get their feet under them in this defense, is you have to get to the passer. You have to affect the launch point of passes, not the end point. Eventually, that will be, I think, a strength of this team as they continue to add to the secondary. There will be somebody new as the third corner. Could it be Fenton? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about him being ready to go at camp. We're going to find out here very shortly in just a couple of weeks, but that's going to be key. And even if he is the starter this year, that's not going to be lasting for long. So you got to get more. So in order to protect that group, you have to get more pass rush. Now, do I think that they do? I think it's a hat trick right now. The simple fact is you have to get Orlando done in order to go after somebody else. So it really is the first domino to fall, so to speak, of this particular pre-camp run-up to trying to fix the hole in the roster. Can they play around with Leo Chenal? Sure. A lot of Chiefs Kingdom has high hopes for Leo Chenal. I do as well. But he's not a kid that can walk in and play edge from week one. As I said in a couple videos ago, I don't think we're going to see a ton of Leo Chenal until what is it, week 3? And even then, I don't think it's really going to be a multifaceted role until later in the season. I think he's going to be a stand-up outside linebacker, most likely in the Sam kind of role until midseason, until he has his feet under him in this defense. Then I think we can talk about what he can do beyond his normal linebacker spot. Now, if they come out blitz heavy with him, then hey, you can roll in the base a little bit more, and you can roll with him and Willie and him and Nick in kind of a rotation where he could be a fifth pass rusher for you. And that's what the culmination becomes on defense. If you can't get Orlando signed, you likely cannot bring in a veteran replacement edge rusher. If you can't do that, you got to get to the passer somehow. The only guy that's really stable on the secondary is L'Jarius Sneed and Juan Thornhill. You can't really risk blitzing them all the time. So you got to go back to the linebacker level. And I would put Leo Chenal right now as the best blitzer of the 3 starters. Now, I know Elijah Lee got some starter snaps. I know that folks think that Jermaine Carter can fill in and start because he has in the past, and that's absolutely true. But I don't think he's an upgrade on either Willie Gay or Nick Bolton. Now, Willie's got some upside to actually reach as well. We haven't seen it all, but I do think that it's there. I think Nick is great on delayed blitzes. I think he's much better in triggering. So that he's not the aggressor, he's reactive because he is so quick to analyze and attack. That's great. But if you're talking about making him an attacking position, I think that is better suited for Chenal and Willie Gay Jr. And the nice thing about blitzing from the linebacker level, if you're a rookie and you're just told to go attack this guy and get to the passer, that is something that is a much more straightforward assignment. You're not going through 17 permutations in your head about what happens with this, and there's a shift in the thing in a business, and what happens then. It is go to that A gap and take somebody out until that passer has to move off of his spot. I think that's probably the best way to get Chenal off the board and onto the field in significant snaps to begin with. So that's what I'm looking for. Now, I want to tell you before I go any farther tonight, we are going to have the Q&A tomorrow. Our newest contributor, Gary McKenzie, you may know him from Arrowhead Pride back in the day. He's going to be joining us soon, and we're going to have his first video, I believe, up this week. It is scheduled for later in the week. You're going to hear from Dan and myself and Seth and the whole crew. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope that you guys are ready for it. The last thing that I want to cover today for this breakdown is that there's a lot of hype right now about where the offense is going, who's going to be the targets and all that, and that's legitimate. The right tackle spot is still a concern. If you're just going by who should be the depth chart, it should be Lucas Niang, and it should be Kennard after that. Should be. But with Niang's injury, I don't think he's going to play in the first half of the season. I think he's going to be on the pup at the very least. He may be on a more significant injury list, and we may not see him till midseason. Look for him after the bye is where I'm leaning right now. So then it becomes who's ready to play right now, and maybe it isn't Kennard, and maybe that's when Wiley moves over. And actually, I should do that this way. But the right tackle has to be taken care of, whether it's Wiley, whether it's Kennard filling in, or if some miracle happens and Lucas Niang is ready to participate by week 1, more power to him. Let's give it a shot. but that's likely what's going to happen. And that has all come back to say you have to protect Patrick and you have to let him do his thing. Now, what I like from what we're seeing from Patrick this summer is the passing camps. You guys have all seen Sky Moore working with him and all the other receivers earlier in the year. That's all great. A lot of people, I've been getting a lot of questions about all these other things that Patrick's doing. He's playing a lot of golf this summer. I think he was just out this weekend from what I saw on social media. Good for him. I say that's a good thing because I know he's working hard. I think one thing that he wasn't able to do last season because of the leg injury and the season before that, because coming off the Super Bowl and everything else, is yes, you have to do your work, but you have to have some downtime. You have to let off some steam. You have to have some fun, honestly. And he's a new parent. He had a significant injury last offseason. This is a whole new crew of receivers. And I think the golf thing is a nice distraction for him, actually. Gets his competitive juices flowing a little bit, but it's low key. And I think that it's a good distraction in this case. A lot of people says there's no such thing. I disagree. I think a good distraction is something that rejuvenates your desire, rejuvenates your drive. And I think that is probably a good thing because Patrick's an incredible football player, a very good baseball player. And if he's now a good golfer, I think that's even that much more of a plus. So I think that is a good thing overall. Let's see if that's the way that it works out. But all that said is all those three things have to click for the offense to hit the ground running early in the season. Now, I don't want to overlook anyone, but week 2 is my focus right now because that's going to set the tone later in the year. And it's going to set either an advantage or a hurdle that they have to overcome depending on the outcome of week 2 against the Los Angeles Chargers. That's got to be the focus. I will not be surprised to hear, and you shouldn't be surprised either to hear me or anyone at camp start talking about the Chargers after the first preseason game. What are we doing? What can we see doing with that? And again, that's not to ignore the other opponents, but it is about the division this year. And I think that's going to be coming down the pipe. So a lot going on. If you're new, like, sub, hit the bell. If you're one of us, jump up to the memberships if you want to get in the Discord and talk with the contributors here to the channel. We have a lot going on, and there's a lot coming for you. You're going to have Rogue Huddle over in the member section this week. Make sure you guys check for that. And I want to make sure that everybody gets to participate in the way that they want to. The levels are set up pretty specifically for the memberships that if you just want to be a live chatter and have some of that oomph and have the perks for the live chats, that's perfect for the draft pick level. The rookies and starters and all pros, etc., that becomes where you want to participate in Rogue Nation as a whole, both in the channel and off of it in the Discord. And that's when you get the extra videos and you get some of the behind the scenes things and you get to do some of the member perks that I think are really important for us as a community, because this is going into the 3rd season where we are a group that are heading down and trying to support this team. I'm looking forward to it. I hope that you are too. Thanks for bearing with me while I move. Things are going to look alternatingly different here for the next week or two as I get everything tweaked out and fixed up and put back together. Maybe a couple of additions as well. So thanks for your time. Thanks for your patience. I appreciate you. We'll be back with you tomorrow night and look for some new content later in the week. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.